Carnegie Mellon University has a lecture series called The Last Lecture. Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh has this lecture to bring prominent individuals from the community to deliver their words of wisdom, the lessons that they've learned over their life to the student population. Randy Pausch delivered his last lecture in 2007, in the fall of 2007. This was a little bit of a unique situation because he had just been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is a debilitating disease with a very low survival rate. He had just 6 months to live. I sat there amazed as I listened to him speak, learned of his lessons, what he had accomplished, and the joy that he took when he spoke, and he lived his life. How many of you out there have been there and listened to a speech similar that inspired you? How many would love to be that person that inspires others in your speaking? Adobe Acrobat came up with a PDF file format. It revolutionized the way that we send files to one another because we can see exactly what the file is supposed to be. Today I'm going to give you the PDF for a powerful speech. First of all, what you're going to do is you're going to prepare properly. Then you're going to move on, you're going to deliver dynamically. Finally, you're going to have your follow-up and follow-through. When you prepare a speech, what are you talking about? Because if you don't get this right, you're probably not going to have a powerful speech. Talk about something that's very important to you. Talk about something that you learned at a young age, or maybe you even learned yesterday, that really means something a whole lot to you. Maybe one of your foundational values. If you do that when you speak, it's going to resonate. You're going to see there, and you're going to see the body language as I'm talking about that. So you have your topic. Now what do you do? Take and have 1, 2, 3 main points that talk about this supporting theme. Now that you've prepared your speech, it's time to deliver. What's the best way to deliver information to other people in a speech? Use a story. Don't just use any story though. Use a story and make a point. Use a story and make a point. Use a story and make a point. If I were to give a speech, I would give a speech about financial literacy or handling your money right. I would talk about budgeting, then I would talk about spending less than you make, and finally I would talk about saving for the future. Now, when you're delivering your speech, you want to use that personal story because nobody can tell a story just like you. Just like Seinfeld gets up and delivers a joke, nobody can come up and deliver the joke exactly the same way. It's the same way with your story. It's your story. When my father, when I was younger, he was an Army officer. He made a good living. Somehow, though, it seemed like at the end of every month, there was more money than there was money. And I didn't like this. I didn't like the tension that it threw into the family. And I vowed to myself that when I grew up, my life was going to be different. I vowed that I would control money. Money would not control me. So you prepared your speech. You delivered it. Are you done? No, you're not. You've got to get to the final step, your follow-up and follow-through. If you miss this step, you're going to stay the same kind of speaker every time. But if you use this step, you get feedback and follow through, you're going to incrementally get better with every single speech. And Al knows that a year ago, I was not the speaker that I am today. So there's 2 real main ways to get good follow-up and feedback. First of all, evaluate yourself. The other way is to get someone else to evaluate you. Now, how do you evaluate yourself? There's a couple ways. One thing you could do is you could sit after your speech and just write down your thoughts about how you delivered that speech. Another thing you could do is get an audio recorder and actually listen to your speech. Or you could get a video recorder, as I'm doing today, and look at it. Now, let me warn you, it's going to be ugly. You will hate what you see. The camera does not lie. You'll see maybe that you're doing this, and when you were doing the speech, you didn't even realize you were doing it. But it distracts the audience. So you want to make sure that you're able to see the things that you're doing unconsciously. The other way you can get good feedback is to actually have someone evaluate your speech. Have them actually sit down and write what you did well, and also to write what you could improve on. Now when you do this, you get really interesting information. I remember I gave a speech about my trip to the Grand Canyon. When I went to the Grand Canyon and told this speech, John Fredette sat up and told me about my speech. He told me a number of things. One thing I remember him saying, though, was, "Damon, you are a powerful storyteller." What a powerful piece of information to get. I hadn't thought of myself as a powerful storyteller. Now, if you really, really want to become a powerful speaker, join Toastmasters. When you join Toastmasters, you're going to learn by doing. As my good friend Greg Ferguson says, you can't learn to swim by reading a book. It's the same way with speaking. You have to learn by doing. And sometimes you don't really realize what you're doing until you actually do it. The other great thing is that when you give a speech, you're also in an environment that's very safe, and people give other speeches. You learn from their speeches. I've given you the PDF of powerful public speaking. First of all, you prepare properly. Then you deliver dynamically. And finally, you get to follow up and follow through. You can be a great speaker. You can get in there, touch someone's heart, lift it up, and inspire them. Mr. Toastmaster.